So, after watching Codex dominate with his crabs, surely in a high-stakes tournament game he would go with that and not two of the worst single entities in the game, right? Right? Yeah, no. And just for good measure, his opponent, Balrain here, has, Kadai. So, let's take a look at the builds here as these two absolute legendary XMT memers. XMT standing for Extreme Meme Team after all, so kind of to be expected that these two would do something very silly. I see multiple bloated corpses as well. Yeah, we're in for a good time here. We've got some deckhands up front, some handguns, and then the Bloody Reaver Depth Guard with Arnessa, one Laura Vampire's Captain, double Terrible Necrofex Colossus with the Bat Bombers, and then we've got two bloated corpses here. Are there two more over there? Yep. In these little patches of woods where they can get some stealth. Eventually run in, get some good damage. Balrain coming in hot with an Overseer on foot with just this Black Gem of Gnar, which he can use on himself to make himself invulnerable, I guess, for a short amount of time. Or is it, yeah, basically on self. And does no melee attack damage, but anyway, or not damage, but no melee attack, which means he has no hit chance, or at least a minimum hit chance. Technically can't hit, but got the Kadai here, Destroyer, a couple of Kadai infantry here, the Fireborn, and lots of Laborers, along with Hobgoblin Archers. We've got a Demon Smith Sorcerer of Fire there as well. And yeah, already we can see the Necrofex Colossi. They're shooting ineffectively, doing some damage. I mean, I say ineffectively. Tactically, you know, taking out these Fireborn is pretty decent. But at the end of the day, I don't know, maybe there's some issue with their damage tracking. I know some of you mentioned that recently on some other units. But I don't know, I just kind of think that, sorry, adjust my mic a little bit there. I kind of just think that they're terrible, to be honest. I don't know. But we'll see. We shall see. In Warhammer 2, they were definitely very good, but in Warhammer 3, I think there's some issue with their calibration or targeting where they don't get consistent hits. They're also against, you know, ultra unit size, so all, you know, ranged single entities. Oh, man. Wow. Wow, a unit of laborers just disappeared there. Did you see that? The bloated corpses being deployed. Ooh, let's see this other one over here as well. I mean, they are being used on orc laborers. But, yeah, this one here on a Chaos Dwarf Warrior, that's a little bit more cost-effective. Oh, yeah, just nukes one unit of Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Very satisfying bloats there. And, yeah, at least one of them got some good contact on a high-value unit. Some devastating burning heads, though. Similarly, just knocking down zombie gunners in the back line here as these Chaos Dwarf infantry push up through the fire and flames. We get in contact with the Bloody Reavers, which might be a bit painful, even though they are halberds. Got great AP damage. And that Enrage passive, making them take very little damage in return. Yeah, some damage coming in on the Hobgoblin Archers from the Bomb Bats. But the Bomb Bats themselves taking some very significant counterfire here. Yeah, you can see the contact from the Necrofex is really just very ineffective. I think the shots should maybe spread out a little bit more, and maybe they could add like one extra projectile to make this damage a little bit more impactful on ultra unit scale. I do think that that's, you know, potentially one thing you could do to make the Necrofex Colossus a lot more effective. It should have a very good ranged attack, but objectively it's probably, you know, the ranged attack's worse than something like an Iron Blaster, which has a lot better mobility and resistance to missiles by not being a giant, you know, two-legged target, basically. Yeah, Kadai here doing some very good damage, just blending through zombies. We're going to get a duel between the Overseer and Arnessa, which actually, the Overseer has a pretty good shot here. I mean, his stats are definitely solid. You know, he's got decent armor, which isn't going to matter too much here, but his lack of AP also won't matter at all against Arnessa. Got good melee defense here. She's definitely better stat profile in terms of attack and defense, similar weapon strength. Of course, she is anti-large, which isn't going to help at all against the Overseer, but considering he's probably quite a bit cheaper than Arnessa, there's some benefit there as well. The guns also getting some good hits on the Kadai, taking it down despite being attacked in the flank by those Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Yeah, you can see that Balrain's kind of just ignored the Necrofex for the most part, just allowing it to use their ammo, and still, you know, according to the damage tracking here, neither have paid for themselves, which is just hilarious to me. Yeah, Kadai does go down here, though. The big destroyer, unsurprisingly, also Probably didn't pay for itself. We'll have to wait and see on that. But a little bit of burning head. Get through those, yeah, those Bloody Reavers. Do a little bit of extra damage to them with the Kindle Flame active also. Firing in with the Hobgoblin Archers. And the Overseer fighting with some infantry support here. Those Chaos Dwarf Warriors providing some extra bodies. A little Wind of Death. Ooh, a wild little Wind of Death here in the back line from the Vampires. As Coast tries to do whatever they can to rout some of these Chaos Dwarf Warriors. Yeah, you can see even the Laborers in combat. Yeah, they were in combat for a solid amount of time before they terror routed against the Necrofex. These Kadai, even wounded as they are, going to be a pretty big problem. But you see Arness's net being used here on these Chaos Dwarf Warriors, and both Necropheces firing in. We managed to rout that Chaos Dwarf Warrior. Bloody Reaver Depth Guard, though, have pretty much been pin-cushioned, effectively. Spicy pin-cushion by, by the Chaos Dwarf Archers here. Hobgoblins, even. But, yeah, was that Bolt Thrower back online as well? Maybe it was firing the whole time. I actually have no idea. Let's check its value to see if it's really done anything. Yeah, 1383 actually is great value on a Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower. So I've been able to continue just plinking away at those high-value targets over time. Well, most likely what's done most of the damage to Necrofex, actually, in hindsight. But, yeah, very effective. And that is one big downside is the Necrofex, as mentioned, is just a big target, you know. It's very easy to hit, even at long range. For most missile or artillery units, definitely could be quite painful. Harness is going to come back. Ooh, gets blasted by a cannonball. Manages to jump over it or something there. That was wild. Slapping through a few of these Chaos Dwarf skirmish units, but also trying to stay out in front of the Overseer. She's got a lot of speed. You can kind of run around here, get some decent AoE splash attacks on the Hobgoblin Archers. All while this Necrofex has used all of its ammo, pretty much, and still is like barely cresting 1,000 damage value. This one, 110 kills, like 1,500 damage value. Is getting closer. This one probably pays for itself by the end of the game. Maybe not 100%, but Captain, again, lack of armor here, definitely punishing her against the Overseer and especially the infantry support of these Chaos Dwarf Warriors, who definitely have solid weapon strength and attack, especially in comparison to regular Dwarf infantry, right? They have a little bit more of an offensive profile. But yeah, able to push back the Captain here, and Aranessa in the back line, trying to shut down the Hobgoblin Bolt Thrower, but has used most of its ammunition already. The Necrofex is doing okay. It actually is managing to rout most units that come near. They're just having leadership issues. About to use its last shot here, so we'll have to be used in melee from here on out. You'd get a heal from the Captain as well before she went down. But with the Necrofex there being charged down, using its last shots, and yeah, Harnessa actually, even with the Spearfisher's net, again, because the little bit of infantry support here and also favorable dice rolls, it's also like not too bad of a fight for the Overseer for how cheap he is. He's no problem taking this fight. As you see the Necrofex fighting out there in the distance, that's a nice shot right there. Beautiful stuff. The Necrofex animations look very cool, but probably not doing much in melee. I'd imagine those Chaos Dwarf Warriors actually can win, especially with the Archer support. But without that, even still, I mean, their melee defense is good enough. It's not like the Necrofex has a bonus versus infantry or anything in melee. It's pretty low melee attack, honestly. And just in general, the stats are really not spectacular here. Melee defense, you know, armor is only like 70 base, right? So really not a 75, I guess. Not a lot to write home about. So that's why I think it's one of the worst single entities in the game, because its range attack is not that good, and its melee stats are terrible. So what does it do for you, besides very expensively get shot? Anyway, respect for taking it, though. For taking 2. And this one's able to get 153 kills and pretty much pay for itself. So in an absolutely ideal world, these things can pay for themselves. But yeah, it's not going to be enough to win here as Vampire Coast hits army losses. That will be game for Beaurain. So yeah, lack of crabs here definitely showing through on Codex. I gotta respect the build, though. I mean, you can't not respect this. And the one bloat, yeah, like 500 value that managed to run into a Chaos Dwarf Warrior. So nice to see a bloat pay for itself, even if it didn't ultimately help a victory. Some of the handguns rather, as well. Got some really nice value. Arnessa, okay. I maybe would have expected more from her. But, yeah, credit to, like, this Fire Sorcerer here. Obviously, Burning Head's very, very devastating against zombies. Have no ability to dodge it, and it does super, super amounts of damage to them. The Hobgoblin Archers here as well. Very excellent archers in general. If you can protect them, are quite good against the Vampire Coast because of that Arc of Fire and range. The Bolt Thrower as well. Man, 1,800 on the Bolt Thrower. It's got to be one of the better performances. Just lots of good targets to shoot at here. Kadai can't be same of any of the Kadai units here. They all are pretty terrible in this particular battle. They can be good in certain circumstances, but not today, not against all these guns. But that's why I play the games. Hopefully you enjoyed that one. I know I sure did. If you did, be sure to like and subscribe. Hit that bell notification. Every time I upload a new video, you'll be notified. Thanks again. We'll see you next time.